Oh, oh, no, never mind. I thought the new books updated, but they didn't.
No, it just says zero.
I still have last week's books,
Well, last week's will probably pop up there in a moment.
and the app is being real weird.
App is being bizarre, man.
Okay, I just scrolled halfway down the page, and it moved maybe an inch.
That's what it was doing to me when I was trying to research these books.
Yeah, and now the books are loading really slow.
Yeah, I was while you were doing all this stuff, I was still trying to figure out what's going on here, and yeah, it took a while.
Yeah, they're probably uploading all the books right now. Okay. You got the intro ready?
I'm ready.
Counting down. Three, two, one.
What's up? I'm Pat,
And I'm Sean.
and this is the 6 Months Behind podcast, where we discuss everything that is going on in the world of Marvel Unlimited comics. How you doing, brother?
I'm all right, dude. How are you?
You know what? It's a great week in the world of comic books, so I'm good. This is the week of 9/26/16. The website is www.6sixmonthsbehind.com. The email is.
You can hit us up at 6monthsbehind at gmail.com. That is the number 6 months behind at gmail.com.
There you go. You know, I live for weeks like this. I do. I just, when you just get great comics, it was like this week, we've got like a Spider-Man book. We got 2 or 3 X-Men books. We got 2 or 3 Avengers books. We got 3 Star Wars books. We got other great books. And then we have the Pleasant Hill books. And dude, it's just a great week in comic books.
Oh, see, you got a couple of standouts, but to me, I felt like it was real mediocre.
Really?
Yeah, in
Seriously?
fact, I found myself skimming through a few books.
Oh, no, don't get me wrong. I skimmed through a few books, but man, you got the Ultimates book. You got the,
That was
I think
good.
you got the Uncanny X-Men #5, which is great. Um,
Eh,
you got both these Pleasant Hill books. That Uncanny book was good, man. Come on.
we'll talk about it. We'll talk about it.
Come on, that was good, man.
We'll get there. But in the meantime, you and I have both been watching the Luke Cage series on Netflix.
Yes, we have, by golly.
Uh,
There's another reason it was a great week.
yes, if you didn't know, that did hit Netflix. I guess Friday night,
Yes,
and I've watched the first 4.5 episodes, five, somewhere around there,
yes.
and it's really good. If you've enjoyed the Netflix Marvel stuff so far, uh, it just continues to be very good.
I have watched 13. I have, no, I have watched 12 and a half, 12 and 3/4. You were doing audio tests and having audio problems before we started, and I was sitting here trying to finish the 13th episode. I mean,
Oh, good lord!
I'm like literally like 15, 20 minutes away from finishing the 13th episode. That's how close I am. I'm that
Man,
close, just that close, man.
well, I'm sure you'll have time to finish it tonight while you're on the toilet or something. Um,
Yes,
but
it will get finished tonight.
yeah, somehow or another. So just to let
And
you
by
guys
the way,
know,
by the way, um, but before you move on to the disclaimer, which you want to listen to the disclaimer this week, I'm telling you, you need to listen very carefully to the disclaimer. Last week we referenced the Luke Cage comic books, and if you're going to watch the Luke Cage series, it is literally his first maybe 3 or 4 books. All the characters that are in that show, uh, Diamondback, Shades, the prison guard who's Rackham, uh, Dr. Bernstein, they're all straight out of those comic books, man. All
yeah,
of
they're
them.
all there.
They're all straight out of the comic book.
Yep. And if you go to the Discover tab in your Marvel Unlimited app, there is a Luke Cage section that will give you all that stuff, his origins, all of it.
Yeah, it's all right there. And that
Yes.
movie, the Netflix series is straight out of those comic books. Now, they've obviously updated to modern times, changed some of the characters, but the crux of the story is from those comics. They did a good job with the origin. The origin is essentially what's in the comic books.
Yeah, exactly. How you figure out how Luke gets his powers. It's funny because that's about when you see him wearing the tiara and wristbands and stuff.
And the yellow shirt. Yeah. And he's even got the fro at that point too, which is funny.
Yeah, so it's a little callback to 1970s Luke Cage. But yeah, good series. If you want to catch up or brush up a little bit on Luke Cage origins and what he's been doing in the Avengers, go to the Discover tab, check that out. But now, that we do discuss the plot points of these books that we're going to discuss here in a moment. So, this week in particular, because as we're about to discuss with these Pleasant Hill books, we do get a little spoilery. We get a lot spoilery, actually, this week. We're going to get real spoilery. So, if you haven't read all the books, pause, go read them, come back, and we'll be here waiting.
There you go.
I'm waiting for you right now. Still waiting.
Still waiting.
Just let me know when you're done with those books.
Yep.
Are you done now? Okay, good. Now we can get into it. Yeah. Good. All right. So we wanted to start off with the Pleasant Hill series, or not series, but the Pleasant Hill event books, beginning with New Avengers number 8.
Yes. This is where the New Avengers team takes a turn. And I didn't realize this was coming. Did you?
No.
I didn't either. They basically had to choose a side in this Pleasant Hill adventure, and they took a vote on what they were going to do, whether or not they were going to go help Rick Jones and fight against S.H.I.E.L.D., or whether they were going to go help S.H.I.E.L.D., and they took a vote, and some voted to help, and some voted not to help, and the ones who voted not to help were kicked off the team.
Yeah.
And then the thing was, they were like, well, we're not Avengers anymore, and he was like, well, no, you're Avengers, we're not. See ya.
Right. We're taking actions against S.H.I.E.L.D., and that makes us not Avengers anymore. You guys are the Avengers now. And it was it was Wiccan and Hulkling, wasn't it?
It was Wiccan, Hulkling, and Squirrel Girl.
That's right, yeah. So those are your new Avengers now, just the 3 of them. The rest of them are Renegades, including Clint Barton, who is the active S.H.I.E.L.D. agent monitoring the new Avengers.
Yeah, and the thing was, he was like, and if you've been reading his book, which we've been kind of critical of, he doesn't really like S.H.I.E.L.D. to start with. So he was like, I don't like what they've been up to anyway. Now they're up to more shady stuff. Sure, let's go figure out what they're doing, and if we have to get in a fight with them, I get in a fight with them. I'm down with it.
Yeah, let's do it. Yeah. So, yeah, you got, and I guess that's his full introduction or induction into that team. He was kind of a side member, and now I guess he's a full team member. But yeah. So that was interesting.
Yeah, and that was a good book, and it's a, from what I read, was reading today on it. That's a 3-part series, and that was book 1 of that series, which I kind of made that book interesting. I'm looking to figure out whether they become AIM again, or what exactly they wind up being. I'm looking forward to that. It was a good book.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the New Avengers series overall has been really good.
Yeah, I think so too. I've enjoyed it. And then you come to what we have been waiting for, which is Captain America, Sam Wilson, number 7. Now, Do you want to start talking about this, or do you want me to?
No, you go ahead. Other than the fact that this is a 67-page book.
It is a 67-page book, and I will. Here's what happened to me on this book. I knew that certain things were going to happen in this event, and I knew that certain things are coming, because and certain people do certain things with Unlimited, and I treat it one way, and Sean treats it another. You know, I read spoilers. I read CBR. I buy comic books off the shelf. I'm reading Civil War right now. I'm going to go get the Death of X Wednesday. So I kind of know what's coming in certain areas.
Right. Whereas
And
I tend to just stick to this. This is as far ahead as I read. And, you know, when I'm seeing this, it's all new information to me for the most part.
Right. So I knew that this was coming. But what happened was I said, okay, Sam Wilson, number 7. And you and I have been we've been very critical of this book. It hasn't been high on our list. We haven't liked it very much.
It got better after the werewolf thing.
Yes, after he stopped being a werewolf, it got better. Last issue was better.
Yeah.
So you've got Sam Wilson and Bucky meet up, and they're trying to find Captain America. They're in Pleasant Hill, and then we flash over to Captain America, and he and Maria Hill have. If you go back to the very first book, they were blown up by nuke, I believe, and Captain America starts having to make his way to the medical clinic, and Baron Zemo lets him go to the medical clinic. There's some words exchanged, but Baron Zemo's there, and he lets him go to the medical clinic, and he assigns a priest to go with him. And the whole time, Sam and the Falcon are trying to find him, and I'm like, okay, you know, whatever. I'm just kind of flipping pages, and I'm not really paying attention. I'm just kind of flipping pages, you know, reading, whatever. So they get there, they get halfway there, and the wrecking crew shows up, and the priest kind of takes out the wrecking crew. I thought,
yeah, by himself.
By himself, in like 2 panels. And I'm like, what's up with that? You know?
Yeah, which, by the way, they were disguised as construction workers, and I immediately knew it was the wrecking crew. Didn't even fool me.
Yeah, it didn't even fool you. So then they finally get to Dr. Selving, and he starts trying to take care of Maria Hill, and I forget why Steve goes to the bowling alley. But
because that's his only lead.
Yeah, that's his only lead to where the Cosmic Cube is, where Kobik is.
Right, Kobik, which has manifested herself as a little girl. Sentient fragment of the Cosmic Cube manifests itself as a 4-year-old girl. Loves bowling.
Loves bowling.
Yeah.
So at that point, he leaves Maria Hill with the doctor. He goes to the bowling alley, and the priest just walks away. And as the priest is walking away, you realize they showed that it's the Red Skull. And I'm like, wait a minute, time out, stop. Wait a minute, the Red Skull? And I'm just looking at it thinking, that's the Red Skull. And at this point, it's really piquing my interest, because I'm like, the Red Skull isn't a prisoner at Pleasant Hill. He's taking care of Steve Rogers. Because I know everything that's coming, I'm like, this is really piquing my interest.
Right, because and last we saw him, he was in a underground bunker in the old Avengers mansion.
Yes. So then when Steve Rogers gets over to the bowling alley, he runs into Crossbones. And Baron Zemo wants Crossbones to capture Steve Rogers and bring him back to him. And Crossbones knows better. He's like, if I ever get the chance to kill Steve Rogers, he's just going to die. He's just going to die. He's smart enough to know you don't capture Steve Rogers. If you have the opportunity to put him down, you just put him down. Period. Put him down.
Right. And he's already pretty beaten up from the plane crash.
And the explosion.
Right, yeah.
So Crossbones begins to just kill him. He's just killing. He's just literally just beating the life out of him. And he knows Steve Rogers knows he's dying.
Right.
There's a series of flashbacks there, right?
Yeah, you have this inner monologue where he knows it's coming, and he starts his life starts flashing before his eyes.
Right. It's Kobik, right? That's how you pronounce the Cosmic Cube.
Kobik. No, Kobik.
Kobik. Okay, Kobik tells the Falcon and Bucky that they have to get there, Captain America and Bucky, that they have to get there, but they can't get there soon enough to rescue Steve Rogers. So as he dies, Kobik asks him, does he want another chance? And basically, brings him back to life as his not aged self, but as his youthful, 25, 30-year-old super soldier self, and restores him to his youth. And
yep. And that last panel is young, blonde-headed Steve Rogers.
And Crossbones thinking, well, crap, now I got a problem. And he's got a problem because he's facing not only Captain America, but at that point, Bucky and the Falcon. And, he pretty well takes a beat down. Yeah. And I knew
they dispatched with him pretty quickly.
Yes, I knew it was coming because I knew that Captain America's youth was going to be restored somewhere in this series, but I didn't know it was going to happen in this issue. And that's what surprised me, was I didn't realize it was happening in this issue. So that's the issue. That's what happened in this issue. Let's start there. Your thoughts on this issue?
It was good. I did not realize it was 67 pages. You actually get two different stories in here. You get the...
But the main story is probably 40 of those pages. Those two backup stories are really short.
Yeah. So the main story is the Pleasant Hill thing. I mean, I thought it was good. I really enjoyed the part where Steve's kind of inner monologuing and going through all of his accomplishments and everything he's done, and everything he's lived for. And yeah, it was good.
Yeah, I thought it was too. Here's the thing that really interested me about this is I've got to be careful here, or I will get way, way, way off in spoiler land. But Steve lost his age in the Captain America series of 2012, which was written by Rick Remender. And at that same time, Remender, isn't that what I said?
No.
Okay, whatever. Okay, look, I butcher names. Okay, we know this.
Yeah. He actually lost the super soldier serum, which caused him to become the age that he really is. Yes.
At the same time, Rick Remender was writing the Uncanny Avengers at the same time. And he's the one who came up with the story of having the Red Skull steal Professor Xavier's brain. And he created the Uncanny Avengers. He also is the one who wrote Axis, where the Red Skull becomes Onslaught. So Rick Remender is the one who let's follow this path here, is the one who gave the Red Skull the power of Professor Xavier, turned the Red Skull into Onslaught, DH Captain America. He did all those things. Now, after Secret Wars, they sat around and thought, what are we going to do with Captain America? There's an interview with Tom Brevoort. There's actually two of them, and I posted one of them on the website. They had plans, and those plans, if you read the 25 issues in that 2012 series, there's a series there or there's a theme there where Captain America is rebelling against the authority of S.H.I.E.L.D., where he's rebelling against the authority of everything that's going on in America because he's really disgruntled with it. And that was the theme of that series. That was kind of the theme of the Uncanny Avengers. And that's what was happening as that series wound down. I was reading some of that series today, and as that series wound down, that was the theme of it. And as this goes on, as Pleasant Hill goes on, you're going to see that theme continue. And in 6 weeks, when Captain America #1 launches, which will be 6 weeks from today.
Mm-hmm. And for those who might not
5
remember,
weeks from today.
For those who might not remember, it made quite a splash in the nerd culture at large.
Yes, it will make quite a splash when it hits Marvel Unlimited. It picks up the theme. Remender isn't writing it anymore, but Tom Brevoort, who allows whoever is writing it to pick up that theme and continue with it. And that's why the Red Skull is there, because he picked up all these things that the Red Skull had going and just continued straight on with it. That's why they do that. And that's where that theme came from. They didn't just, we'll discuss issue when we get there, but that just didn't just come out of the blue. It came through all these issues.
Right. I mean, there's clearly an overarching story going on here that they've been trying to tell for several years.
They've been working on it since 2012. And if you listen to Breeport explain it, he said we didn't just do what we did in issue 1 in 5 weeks. We didn't just do it. It's been going on it's been coming since 2012. And if you read it, you see it coming.
Yep.
There you go.
So if you've been reading, that series since then, this is no surprise to you.
No, none whatsoever.
Yeah. I thought it was really good. Awesome cover art by Alex Ross. It's a throwback cover to an old Captain America issue. I actually don't know which issue, but it has that old comic book issue look to it. Yeah, one of the better books that came out this week.
Yes. Yeah.
With large consequences.
Yeah, and Pleasant Hill is fixing to get better, and it's gonna go right into Civil War, which is gonna have even bigger consequences, assuming we ever see the end of Civil War. And there you go. I'm really interested in where they're going with the Red Skull.
Yeah, this whole thing where he got Professor Xavier's brain, and what did he do with it?
I didn't have time to read it today. I mean, what I just explained to you was a lot of reading, okay? Along with the other 20-something comic books we read this week.
Right, yeah.
And watching 13 Hours of Luke Cage, okay? There's a lot of geek here. Somehow, he took his brain and melded it with his own. I don't know. I haven't had time to fucking read it.
Did he eat it?
I don't know.
I don't know. But somehow he absorbed the professor's brain.
It's Uncanny Avengers series 2012. Series 2012, issues 1 through 4 is where it is.
Okay, cool.
And then it really, and that Axis miniseries really touches on it also.
Cool. So yeah, if you want to go back and see exactly what we're talking about from the very beginning, that's where that's a good place to do that.
Yes.
So yeah, one of the better couple of books this week, New Avengers and Captain America. That wraps up the Pleasant Hill storyline that we got this week. Moving on to Amazing Spider-Man number 1.4. You know what I really enjoyed about this book?
Nothing.
The art. You know what else I enjoyed about this? You know what else I enjoyed about this book?
What?
Nothing.
Art was good. I don't understand this. I don't know.
It's a Spider-Man story that they're not telling in the main book, even though it's in continuity, and it's dealing with characters that we've never seen before, and I guess they're establishing for some reason. And dude, who knows? Maybe this will go on and have some great consequences, or establish a new villain, and we'll look back on this in a year and be like, man, that was really cool. But right now, the only thing decent about this book is the art. And I'll be completely honest, I'm not sure I finished the issue. I do know that the very last page says, "You want to know what happens next?" No, I don't.
No.
I don't care.
No.
Throw this book in the garbage. Please don't make me read this anymore.
No, I do not care.
No, me either.
I don't.
And that was the only Spider-Man book we had.
Yes.
Moving on, X-Men 92, number 1.
This was an interesting book.
Sure.
I didn't say good or bad. I just said interesting.
Yeah, I mean, it was okay. I didn't hate it. If you enjoyed the X-Men comic books in the early 90s or the X-Men animated series from that time, you'll probably enjoy this book. And I actually did like the art in it as well.
That's what it is it's a throwback to the animated series. And the art was good. The characterization is heavily influenced by the animated series. And it is what it is. You got some good characters there, both on the X-Men side and the villain side.
Yeah, you get is the People's Protectorate? It's basically the Avengers of Russia.
Yeah.
You get like Omega Red and Ursa Major and Vostok and the other guy who
the Red Guardian.
Yeah, he's I think that's his name. He's basically Captain America but Russian.
Right. I mean, it wasn't bad. It was a decent story.
Yeah, I mean, it's not in continuity. It takes place in its own little side universe or whatever.
I'm sure if I were to Google it, I could tell you what universe it was, but I don't care enough to. Yeah, I don't care.
Yeah, it was fine. If you like that sort of thing, read it. If not, you can probably just take a pass. But it's all right.
Yeah, it wasn't bad.
Yeah.
Uncanny X-Men number 5. We were arguing about this before we went on the air.
You skipped All New X-Men, but okay.
Okay, All New X-Men number 5. No, number 7.
No, number 7. It was okay. I saw the preview at the end. It says Doctor Strange is going to be in the next issue, so that's good. Of course, you got this is basically the teen X-Men. They're cleaning up after the fight with the Blob in Paris. Toad gets really drunk and captures Cyclops, and they're trying to find Cyclops. That's basically the premise of the book. Yes,
and Toad wants to kill Cyclops because he blames him because he had a happy life at the Jean Grey school, and now he doesn't have a happy life anymore. And he's thinking if he kills Cyclops, that everything will go back to the way it was.
Right, because he's crazy.
Yes.
This was a mediocre book, I thought.
It wasn't the best effort. We've obviously read all 7 issues of this, and there have been better issues.
I haven't really been impressed with this book overall.
I thought it was. I think it's been pretty good. This one kind of left me.
Yeah, I mean, to me, other than the Laura Kinney Angel storyline,
which didn't appear in this issue at all.
No, which didn't happen in this issue at all. I feel like the book as a whole has been really meandering. They're writing Beast out to be a moron, which I don't understand.
No, they're not making him a moron. He's a man out of time. He's a man who doesn't grasp today's technology and doesn't know what to do with it.
And he's trying to adapt. And
yes.
Okay, but how long has he been here?
I don't know. Weeks, months, years.
It's been like months at this point within the universe. So if you ask me, he's had time to at least get a grasp on it. They've all, the Blob's beating them all up. Toad kidnaps Cyclops. It's like, I don't know. It's like they've depowered these X-Men. These guys should be no problem for them, and yet they're struggling. Also, the story doesn't. I don't understand what the major plot of this book is. Other than to watch
this book,
the series as a whole is the point of not you Siri, shut up. The overarching story here seems to be watch the teenage X-Men struggle.
I just had a flashback to the Raj episode with Siri on Big Bang Theory. Does he call you a sexy name?
No, he doesn't.
Anyway, she.
I have it set as a British man's voice, but that'd be even weirder.
That is weirder. Oh, goodness. Does he call you my lord?
Oh, no, but I might do that.
This book is it's basically the trials and tribulations of Scott Summers up until this point. That's the purpose of the story. I would like to think it's going somewhere. I simply don't know where.
Right. That's my whole thing is I don't see where this book is going. And so it draws my interest away from it a little bit. If I were walking into a comic book shop after 7 issues of this, I'd be dropping it from my pull list.
Tell you what, I wouldn't be dropping from my pull list.
Uncanny X-Men number 5, excuse me.
No, would not. Would not.
Okay, yeah, I'd probably continue reading this. I didn't love this issue, but it was okay. Give us a brief
Dude,
synopsis.
what was there not to love? I mean, first you have Magneto by himself fighting the Dark Riders. He's trying to fight the Dark Riders while the other members of his team, which are Sabretooth, Psylocke, and M, are trapped in a pyramid where the Dark Riders trapped them, and he's trying to hold off all the Dark Riders so they can get there. Then they finally get there and injure or murder all the Dark Riders. Then
The part where Archangel slices that guy in half with his wings was pretty cool.
Yeah, he definitely killed that one. The ones who are left alive, they leave Genosha. As they're leaving Genosha, Magneto blows up the entire island. Doesn't just blow up a couple of buildings. He blows up the island and sinks it. Okay?
Yeah, effectively destroying Genosha forever.
Which, dude, how can you not say that's not a cataclysmic event? And by the way, all of this is drawn by Greg Land, so it looks pretty friggin' cool.
Oh yeah, the art's good. Art's very good. The Genosha thing is I guess it is a big deal because hopefully they don't resurrect it, because I feel like, I don't know, Genosha's played out. They go to Genosha all the time. It's time to just let it sink to the bottom of the ocean and be done.
At that point, they take the healer, whose name I have forgotten, and take him to Triage, and take him to X-Haven, and he's like, "Is this hell?" And Magic's like, "No, that's right next door. You're close, but not quite."
Parallel zip code.
Yeah, and which was a pretty funny line, by the way.
Yeah, yeah. So I'm interested to see what happens next in this book.
And it's it's good art. It's a long plot, which I think is really playing itself out over 5 issues, and you got things going on there. You got beautiful art by Greg Land. That last splash page with Magneto in the air. Oh yeah,
that is really good.
That's really good.
I like the panel of when Archangel cuts the dude in half, because it's just it's a far out shot, and you just see Archangel arc through the air and just.
Yeah. You've got trust issues among the team members. You've got plots within plots. I think there's a lot going on in this book to really enjoy.
Yeah, man, it's not bad.
Yeah. Another book that's not bad, moving on to the Avengers section, is
Ultimates number 5.
Yes.
Yeah, this I think is probably one of the better books we got this week. This book has been driving on all cylinders since number 1.
Yeah, this is the cosmic group of the Avengers, which they've never really had a specific cosmic team before, and I'm kind of enjoying it. I'm liking what they're doing here.
I like it a whole lot. To give you a brief synopsis of what's going on, all of the Ultimates have gone to what is this place?
Somewhere out beyond everything, out beyond eternity.
It is beyond reality. It is the in between realities where nothing exists, and they're trying to get home because I forget why they were there in the first place. But,
no, they're not. They're not trying to get home. What they know is that time is broken because the people on Earth have been playing with it so much that time is broken. And Eternity sends Galactus out to deal with the Ultimates. And Galactus' first response is, "What are you doing here?" And I believe it's Blue Marvel who talks to him and says, "Look, we know time's broken. We know there's something wrong with it. And we want to know what it is, and we want to fix it." And Galactus' basic response is, first off, you don't know what you're dealing with. Secondly, here's how I see time. Let me show you something. And he proceeds to show him what it looks like. And
the true nature of time.
The true nature of time. And then he begins to lie to him about how things really are. to take them back to where they belong.
Right. I mean, he blows their minds, send them back to where they came from. And then at the end there, he shows up and Eternity has been chained. Eternity's chained up. And there's a discussion of who could do that and why would they do that. And it's left the impression that you're left with is that it might be somebody familiar.
Yeah, that things are really screwed up, and they didn't want the Ultimates fooling around with it.
Right, screwing it up even further.
Yes. Yeah.
Right, exactly.
Basically, it was above their pay grade, and they didn't need to be out there messing with it.
Yeah, that's, Galactus tells them, you came out here not to fix anything or to understand anything. You came out here because you could. This is all hubris, and you're meddling with things you don't even understand and have been, and now you're trying to fix it, and you're just going to make it worse.
Yes.
Right. Yeah, great book. Art's good. This has become one of the first things I read every time it hits the app. It's usually the first or second thing I read.
Speaking of the app, it's broken today, but that's beside the point.
Mine's working okay now.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
No new books yet. It's currently 20 till 7 on a Monday night, and we still have last week's books.
And just so y'all know, by lunchtime Monday, if I don't have my new comics to read, I get real grumpy.
I usually get a text about it. He gets real grumpy.
When I get out of bed on Monday morning, I expect to open the app and see what the new comic books are. And when they're not there, I'm grumpy.
Yeah, I mean, it's not the first thing I do in the morning, but usually, when I wake up and I'm coherent enough to form thoughts, I'll grab my phone, see if I got any text message or any emails I need to address. And then one of the things I do is I open the app on Monday morning to see what the new comic books are. And still nothing.
Yes. Still nothing. Okay, Moving on to the main 616 universe, we have Daredevil number... Holy cow, I can't read that. Is that 5 or 6? 5.
Yeah, it's number 5. Yeah, this is kind of... Charles Soule's writing this book, and I've really enjoyed it so far. This is kind of the final... Well, maybe not the final, but this is the showdown with Ten Fingers.
10 Fingers.
Yeah. Apparently the Hand is not very happy with Ten Fingers, trying to usurp their power. So they send one of their creatures after him, and he basically slaughters...
I'm trying to remember that creature's name, and I can't remember.
I forget, but it has something to do with... They have to perform some sort of ritual to...
Yeah, it's not in the notes.
Yeah, it's...
Yeah, it's not there. Anyway, it's a bad dude.
Yeah, it basically starts slaughtering the congregation of Ten Fingers Church. Ten Fingers realizes his power's waning. He actually transfers his power into the congregation so he can save himself, proving that he's just a coward. And, of course, you got Blind Spot there, who seems to be Daredevil's apprentice now. Turns out his mom's one of the followers of the church. That's been kind of his motivation here. And things don't go well for Ten Fingers. Daredevil takes out the Hand creature. And I'm left with the impression that this is not the last we've seen of the Hand for a while.
No, good story.
Good art.
Good Daredevil story. I mean, this is Daredevil. This is how you want it to be.
Yeah. This feels like a classic Daredevil story. Let's see, written by Charles Soule, who I really like, and who kind of came out of nowhere and has just been writing a lot of stuff for Marvel these days, and is doing really well, I think. Ron Garney is the artist on this book. It's a style of art that I think really fits the book well.
Right.
And according to the end of the book, Elektra's going to show up soon.
Elektra will be in the next issue.
Cool.
So the next two books are Drax #5 and Hercules #5. Now we're going to compare the two books. Let us do that, shall we?
Mm-hmm.
Drax #5 started off with no direction and kind of boring, having trouble finding its way. And now we're at issue 5, and the first story has wrapped up. And you want me to give my opinion, or you want to give yours?
This book sucked.
It sucked. It never found its direction. I couldn't care if it found its direction. I'm just like, really?
Not just this issue. The first 4 issues have been terrible. The 5th issue is terrible. And I don't care about this book anymore. I really may stop reading this book, for real.
Yeah, it just...
I'm going to see what they do with the next issue since they wrapped up the story, but if the next issue doesn't grab me, I'm done. I can't...
Yeah.
I had a hard time reading this book because it was so bad. Reading the book, all I wanted to do was close the app.
Yeah, they just never found their way.
They spend 2 issues fighting Fin Fang Foom, and then he runs away to his homeworld, and they chase after him, and then he's just sad, so they leave him alone.
Yes.
That's how the book ends.
Yeah.
Oh, you're sad now, Fin Fang Foom. Okay, I guess we'll leave you. We're going to take these kids with us so you don't eat them. But, okay, bye now.
Yeah. Now, let's compare that to Hercules #5.
Okay.
Now, I was very critical of the first couple of issues of Hercules because it wasn't going anywhere. You had his buddy sitting on the couch whining. The characters were kind of meandering, and it just, you had everybody telling him a storm's coming, but you're like, I don't care that the storm's coming. Let's do something. Well, you know what? Last issue, they finally started doing something because the villains finally started showing up, and they started throwing down last issue, and by this issue, they're throwing down. Okay, I mean they're taking large pieces of architecture and hitting each other with it. I'm talking buildings. They're throwing buildings on each other and see who's standing at the end. And it's not resolved, but they moved the story along. I mean, they had some good fight scenes, some good action. You got some plot lines going where what's that kid's name that left his handprint on? He basically branded Hercules.
Oh, I don't know. I didn't read the book.
But it was much better because they moved the story along, had a great fight scene, involved all the characters, and just really developed it and took it somewhere. So, yes, it drug in the first couple of issues, probably really hurt the sales because it drug so bad in the first couple of issues, but they really got it moving along in issue 5. So, this is 2 different books. In Drax, it drug in the first couple of issues, and it just sucked. In Hercules, it drug in the first couple of issues, but it really picked up speed by issues 4 and 5.
Cool. And if you think that, if y'all think that, we just didn't like the Drax book, so we think it sucks, no. It's not that we just didn't like the book. It's that when reading the book, the writing is bad, the characterization is bad, the dialogue is bad. The only decent thing is...
The art's bad. The plot's bad. Well, maybe the art's not that bad, but it's pretty bad.
The art is the only good thing about it, and it's not great. It's okay, but it's not great.
It's just... And the characters are out of character. I mean, Drax is doing things Drax wouldn't do. You got the Terex there. You had Terex literally crying at one point. Terex, the baddest dude in the universe, sitting there drunk and crying at one point. Seriously? This dude kills people by the billions, and you got him sitting there crying? That's
right.
That's ridiculous.
The dialogue is too complex for Drax. Drax takes everything literally. The dialogue is just, quite honestly, a little too smart for him. You got Fin Fang Foom, who's on another planet for whatever reason, being organizing a gladiator competition so that he can just kill the last people, and I don't know. Either way, he Lee, at the end of this issue, he goes back to his homeworld, and they go try to kill him on his homeworld, and he's very sad all of a sudden, and so they just leave him, and that's no way to resolve a storyline.
No, none whatsoever. Okay, Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur number 5.
This was another mediocre book this week.
You've been really high on this book.
It's a good series. I'm intrigued by it anyway. If for only reason is because I think Moon Girl's interesting in that she's a very young girl who's very smart and no one around her understands, and that if she just met Tony Stark for 5 minutes, he would understand her potential and really give her something to do. But this issue revolves around a jailbreak. She sneaks out of her room and busts out her dinosaur friend from dinosaur jail.
Yeah, I basically summarizes the.
Yeah, I mean that's pretty much the issue. Yeah, that's pretty much it. So not a whole lot to say about it other than you're just kind of continuing the story along. It was meh.
Yeah, and that brings us to the Unbeatable Squirrel Girl number 6. First off, let me say this.
Mm-hmm.
God help me. I knew she and Wolverine had history. And then when I was researching that Mockingbird stuff, I went back and reread it accidentally. And I just can't get it out of my mind, man. I just can't get reconciling the Bendis Squirrel Girl with this Squirrel Girl.
What's the difference? This one's very kind of silly and goofy and not ever serious, and the other is.
And the other one had a very long love affair with Wolverine.
Yeah, and in this book, she's like 19, so that says a lot.
Yeah, and in the other, so let's figure that out. When did she have this book? When did she have that long love affair with Wolverine? When she was
17, probably.
17.
16, maybe. 17. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it freaks me out, and I'm loving the book. I'm loving the book, but I just see her and I just think, oh dear God, why did Bendis write that? Because if he hadn't written that, I wouldn't have any trouble with this.
Well, and you have to argue that if had Bendis not reintroduced her a little bit in that way, you wouldn't have this book now, because she was such a minor background character that just would show up occasionally. She may not even have any dialogue. She might just be in a group shot in the background somewhere, and to be fair, people latched onto her.
What he did in that book is she actually beat up Wolverine in that book.
Right.
I mean,
that's how she established.
They have a sparring session, and she pretty much stops Wolverine.
Right, and she's also beaten some of the other people along the way. Dr. Doom being one of them, and so she has attained this reputation as the unbeatable Squirrel Girl.
Right.
And so this issue crosses over with Howard the Duck.
Yes.
And the whole thing.
A 2-part crossover.
Yeah, this whole thing is very funny. And that's the aim of the book, to be very lighthearted and funny.
And here's the thing. I don't want to stop you, but I'm going to interrupt you.
Okay.
I love what I read up in when we were talking about Pleasant Hill, and we were talking about that Captain America book. I love these things that go on for years, and I have to research it for years, and I don't even know when this Captain America thing is going to end. I mean, it's still being published, which means we're at least 6 months away from getting it resolved. It hasn't been resolved yet on the newsstand, so we're probably 8, 10, 12 months away from seeing it resolved. I love plots that go on like that forever. At the same time, I just like picking up Squirrel Girl every month and laughing.
Yeah, I mean, we read all this really serious stuff that asks moral questions and puts our favorite characters in positions that are compromising, and then you just pick this up and it's just an easy read, and it's funny.
Yes.
So the first thing you have Howard the Duck trying to kidnap Doreen's roommate's cat. And so you have that happens, and that's how they kind of run into each other. And then Craven the Hunter shows up in his van. The
That van's
Craven.
cool, by the way. The Craven.
The Craven, that's not us being funny. That's actually what they call it in the book. The Craven, for Craven the Hunter, who captures Howard the Duck, and of course, Squirrel Girl goes running after him because that's not cool, dude. As she says, and it begins this whole. Craven delivers Howard the Duck to this lady who is a cosplayer, but a very serious cosplayer, and she kind of collects these relics of heroes. She's like a female collector in a way, without the cosmic abilities. She's even got a squirrel that has gone through the Weapon X program and is basically a Wolverine squirrel.
It's pretty funny, by the way.
It's so funny, particularly when you start thinking about the history that Squirrel Girl and Wolverine have. Yeah. And if none of this makes any sense, it's not supposed to really. Just read the book. You'll get it. If you read the book, you'll get it. But it starts this whole storyline, this like most dangerous game type storyline where she's hunting them being Squirrel Girl, Craven, Howard the Duck. And so I'm looking forward to that because I always think that's a fun storyline anytime you do it. Did you ever see that movie?
No, never did.
Or read the short story that it's based on?
I think you referenced it in a text to me today, and I wasn't familiar with it.
Well, Ice-T was in a movie back in the 90s where Gary Busey and a bunch of his buddies capture a black guy off the street and put him on an island, and he's the prey to be hunted. But it's based on a short story from the late 1800s where this guy, this very eccentric, rich game hunter, basically he invites people, his friends, to his mansion in the safari or wherever. The safari is not a place, but you get the idea. Think big game hunter from the late 1800s. And he basically gives them like a 2-day head start, and he hunts people. And that's the storyline that you've got going on here. Yeah, it was a good book. I really enjoyed it. If you're looking for funny, there's your funny story.
Let me tell you what isn't funny. Is the Infinity Entity number 3.
Yep, another mediocre book this week.
So, it's really not.
It's not as good as it could be.
Well, here's the thing. This is a series of books, and I didn't know this. This thing left me so confused. I had to Google it today to figure out what this mess was. And it's a series of Infinity books that Jim Starlin has written about Thanos and Warlock and Infinity Gauntlet. And apparently there is a Thanos trade paperback coming out. Not a trade paperback, a Thanos one-shot coming out in a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
And this is what's leading up to it. And this is a series of books that have come out over the last few years that have centered around the Infinity Watch. Now, after the original Infinity Gauntlet storyline, Adam Warlock formed the Infinity Watch. It was himself, Pip, Drax, Gamora. I think that was it. To take care of the gems.
Sure.
And over the course of the last 20 or 30 years, different writers, mainly Starlin, has written stories about it. Now, the reason this book is so confusing to me is I haven't read the last 3 or 4 limited series leading up to this one. And I've posted an article on the website explaining this mess, or I'm going to post an article explaining this mess leading up to it. If you back up 3 or 4 limited series and read this, you understand how Adam died, why he has no memory, and why he's running around trying to prevent all this from happening, and how it's leading into the trade paperback that's coming out in a few weeks with Thanos in it. So the whole thing will make sense. Yes. Which it made no sense to me. And then I read how it ends, and once I read how it ended, I did remember reading where that began, and I saw who the villain was, and I'm like, oh, okay, now it makes sense to me, because the whole thing's circling back around to where it began, and I remembered reading the beginning. Now, if it sounds like I'm talking gibberish, here's the thing. If
this book's kind of gibberish.
If you're not reading Starlin, Jim Starlin, in his galactic corner of the universe, either number one, start from the beginning, start with the Infinity Gauntlet, and just read all the way through. Just read about 100 books all the way through, or don't bother reading this.
Yeah, all the stuff that happened in the 80s with the Infinity Gauntlet all the way to now.
Yeah.
Because otherwise it's not going to make any sense.
Just start there and read to here, or don't bother reading this book, because it ain't going to make no sense whatsoever.
It doesn't make a ton of sense to me, and I have a working knowledge of all that stuff. So
yes.
Even then, I'm like, okay, you've got all those cosmic characters at the very, very beginning of the book, and I'm like, okay, there's Eternity, Infinity, the Watcher, somebody else,
Eros, the Living Planet, all of them, dude, all of them.
Yeah, and I didn't know who half of them were.
I know.
Or why. And so, I don't know, bro. I just didn't.
I'm very familiar with all this, and I had no idea what was going on.
And even you're confused. So if your veteran fans can't understand it, maybe it's too complicated.
Yeah. The Totally Awesome Hulk number 4.
Tell me what you thought about this. You're a Hulk guy.
It's the continuation. Actually, it's the conclusion of the first 4 of their first story arc, where he is fighting. What was that girl's name he was fighting? I'm looking.
I don't know.
Lady Hellbender.
That's
Hellbender.
It. Yeah.
Yeah, and she sets all the monsters free, and then he has to fight all the monsters again. She-Hulk's there. I wouldn't say Ultimate Spider-Man. It's not. It is Miguel. Miguel O'Hara is there as Spider-Man.
Yeah, 2099.
Yeah. No.
Yeah, Miguel O'Hara is Spider-Man 2099.
Not Miguel O'Hara, then it's the other one.
Miles Morales?
Thank you. Miles Morales is there. Dude, all these Spider-Men are hard to keep apart. They need different names. And then Spider-Man A, Spider-Man B, Spider-Man C, Original. I don't know. They need different names.
Well,
now I'm calling himself Spider-Man.
Well, you got Amazing Spider-Man, you got Spider-Man, and you've got Spider-Man 2099. They're also the main 3 Spider-Men running around right now. Peter Parker, Miles Morales, and Miguel O'Hara.
Anyway, he was the one in the darker black suit. Anywho, so it was pretty good. Here's the storyline. And this is the storyline that's continued through these 4 issues, and I have an idea that's going to continue for a while, is he's fighting to control the power of the Hulk and not turn loose the anger of the Hulk.
Right, and you actually get to see like the flashback of where he absorbs the Hulk abilities from Bruce Banner.
Right. He absorbs all the radiation, which absorbs all the Hulk abilities.
Right.
And he's trying not to lose control. And, dude, that story's been written for 50 years. So, I mean, you got new characters, you got a new host, but I've read that story for 50 years.
Yeah. Well, my question is, does that mean Bruce Banner is no longer the Hulk? Is he just Bruce Banner now?
I refuse to answer those questions.
Okay. Well, my point was going to be that if that's the case, you can do new stuff with Bruce Banner.
I
Plead the fifth.
I plead the fifth.
Okay. I actually really enjoyed this book. I thought it was pretty good, and I'm not a Hulk guy, so and I kind of like Amadeus Cho's the Hulk.
It's not bad. I mean, they're doing things with Amadeus Cho, which, dude, my wife is cooking supper, and it smells very good, and I haven't eaten yet. And I'm like on the other end of the house. No, I don't have ADD.
No, not at all.
It wasn't bad, and I'm enjoying Amadeus Cho and his sister. I'm just, I'm over the whole Hulk, fighting to not get angry thing.
Huh. That's funny. I actually liked the Hulk book, and you didn't care much for it. That's different.
That is different.
So Patsy Walker.
Here's the thing. They have serious plans for Bruce Banner going into Civil War, and if we start talking about Bruce Banner, you're really going to get into Civil War.
Okay. Well, then perhaps we should move on to Patsy Walker number 4.
Number 4.
This is a. Go ahead.
I'm trying to remember what this book was about. Go ahead.
Well, and this is another very light-hearted book, like Squirrel Girl. In fact, even the art styles are very similar. It's basically a continuation of the story that they've been telling. You got Patsy trying to find a job. She actually gets a tattoo in this issue because she works at a tattoo shop.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah. You have this Enchantress knockoff, Casalina. She's another Asgardian who I've never heard of, but she's trying to recruit bad guys, and so far is only picking up like street thieves.
Yeah, not even D-list heroes, like E and F heroes.
Yeah, like your purse snatcher types. So she sends out one of her minions, and Patsy Walker throws down with her, and then they take the fight to Casalina, and that's about it. There wasn't really a whole lot going on.
But Howard the Duck made an appearance, and just basically for running jokes, and it was pretty funny. It was entertaining.
Where was the Howard the Duck appearance?
He showed up at the tattoo parlor.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, he comes into the tattoo parlor and just cracks wise for a minute.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I have never been a Howard the Duck fan, and he is growing on me.
Yeah, he's grown on me just a little bit too. If I have to admit it.
Yeah, there's a joke. I think it was in Squirrel Girl, where they're talking about him wearing pants, and he almost starts blurting out about Disney.
Yeah, he's like, "Oh, you're a duck. You don't even have to wear pants." And he's like, "Actually, Disney." And then they just move on and cut him off.
Yeah,
he's going to break the fourth wall about apparently Disney has something about he has to wear pants.
Yeah, it's anyway. I'm really becoming a fan of Howard the Duck.
Yeah, it's not bad. It's all right.
No.
Venom Space Knight was all right too. It's another series that I've actually really enjoyed that had another mediocre issue this week.
I think it was advancing the plot. I mean, it wasn't.
Yeah, it was. It just wasn't a whole lot of action.
No, it was getting you from A to B. It was a transitional issue.
Right. I mean, you got them on the spaceship, and then you got to take them to the planet that they're holding this panda dude's kids on, and he turns cloak on Venom, and they duke it out, and he loses his suit at one point. You know, it was okay. It was mostly just moving the plot forward.
Pick Rollo.
Yeah, Pick Rollo, who's apparently a galaxy-wide known murderer, and he's a giant
I'm going to
panda.
start a movement for Pick Rollo to join the Guardians of the Galaxy.
Hey, I like Pick Rollo. I'd be down with that.
Dude, Pick Rollo is cool.
He's a big walking, talking panda, and he's just a total badass. It's kind of cool.
Yes, it's totally cool.
So is that our last? Yeah, that's our last Marvel book, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
So moving on to our Star Wars books for the week.
Which we have three of.
Did we? Oh yeah, we
Yeah.
did, didn't we? Yeah, starting with Darth Vader number 18.
Yep.
Tell me about this.
I enjoyed it. They're still on that Ore planet fighting the Ore Barons.
The Ore Barons, yeah.
Ore Barons, and Darth Vader is leading his ship down to get to the Ore Barons, and it's sabotaged, and he takes those twins, whose name I can't remember, and leads
It
them on a
doesn't
mission
matter.
out.
They'll be dead by the end of the next issue.
Yeah, and leads them out, and of course they try and attack him, and he wasn't stupid, so he intentionally let them out to see if they would betray him, and they did. And at the same time, the young princess that's ruling this world was betrayed by some of her people. And it's funny, one of the guys looks at her and says, "So what, since you're a princess now, are you going to shoot me?" She's like, "No, I got people for that." And has him gunned down. And yeah, it's a good issue. It's a very good issue.
Yeah, I enjoyed it all right. It was pretty good. They've really increased Darth Vader's power set.
They really have. They've really kicked it up a notch. We discussed it a few issues ago, and I had problems with it. We discussed it during the Vader Down series. I had problems with it. You didn't. Maybe you still don't.
Well, as the Emperor has said, the dark side is a pathway to many abilities some might consider to be unnatural.
Okay.
So I don't really have an issue with him being, super powerful right now.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, this whole series has just been things happen. Darth Vader shows up. Darth Vader is a total badass in the end, and everybody who stands in his way is dead.
Yes.
Yep.
Whether it's 1 or 600.
Yeah. Yeah, whether it's one person or an army.
Yeah, and you still got those two droids there.
Those two droids. Yeah, they were there.
Or were they in Star Wars number 17?
I think they're in both. But they're in Darth Vader, too. Because one of them is talking to Darth Vader about...
oh, that's right.
About using human blood to create droids that are force sensitive and kind of treads into some deep water. And I don't think the droid understood how close to obliteration he was at that point.
Yeah, Vader just kind of looks at him and
he was like, "Look, I got better things to do right now, but if this were any other time, I would have just force crushed you to death."
Yeah.
Yep. Moving on to Obi-Wan. Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, nothing. I was going to mention a Luke Cage scene.
Okay.
Have you reached the scene where where Luke Cage traps Turk in the trash can yet?
No.
It's pretty freaking funny. It's very funny.
That sounds funny.
Made me think of it. He shoves him in the trash dumpster and it crushes the dumpster so Turk can't get out. And he's walking away and Turk is just yelling, wanting food, yelling about the rats, yelling about the insects.
Poor Turk. Turk just gets beat up all the time.
Turk gets beat up by everybody, man. Daredevil, Jessica Jones, Luke Cage. It's just all bad, man. Anyway. Everybody.
Obi-Wan and Anakin number 3. This book doesn't suck, but it's not great.
The only thing I enjoyed about this book was Anakin and the Emperor's exchanges.
Yeah. That's the only thing I really enjoyed about it, too.
Yeah, it's the Emperor trying to seduce Anakin. That's the only thing of it I enjoyed.
Right, and you realize that he's been trying to seduce Anakin for a long time. Because in this book, this takes place somewhere between Phantom Menace and Clone Wars. Anakin's like 12. So he's been in the Order for 4 or 5 years now. And the Emperor takes him one-on-one, to probably a really seedy casino type place on Coruscant, and they discuss, the corruption that's is in the system. And other than that, that's the only real decent. What's actually going on in this book? The main plot is Obi-Wan and Anakin have been dispatched to this planet. I don't even remember why, but now they're trying to. There's two warring factions on this planet that they're trying to unite, or at least trying to bring them together somehow. And yeah, I don't know why I care really, but
I was just thinking, I don't care.
Yeah, I really don't. Another mediocre book this week.
Yes.
The week of mediocrity.
Yeah, there's some good stuff.
There's some good books, but a lot of this stuff has been really mediocre.
There's some good stuff.
Which is a real bummer, because almost everything they've been doing with the Star Wars books is really good.
Yeah.
Particularly the Star Wars number 17. I thought it was really good.
It was very good.
So you have this book follows Leia and her sidekick. They're on this planet, or not a planet, but it's a prison.
Not really her sidekick. It's Han's former wife, and it's Han's wife, former wife, ex-wife, temporary wife.
Well, she's been kicking around with Leia for a little while now.
Yes.
Last 4 or 5 issues.
Right.
So what you've got is they're on in this prison that's like really close to the sun. It's like a secret rebel prison, which just happens to get taken over by bounty hunters, and they release pretty much all the prisoners, and they essentially force Leia and her people to either kill her own prisoners or be killed by them.
Right.
And that's the main plot going on here. Little interesting tidbit: the bounty hunter that seems to be in charge, if you look at that helmet and the rest of his outfit, that's the bounty hunter suit that she is wearing in Return of the Jedi.
Huh. Okay.
Yeah. So now we know where she gets that bounty hunter suit.
Well, that's interesting.
Yeah, I thought so. Overall, really good. Lineal Yu is doing the art. Jason Aaron's writing it. It's really good. I like it.
There you go.
Another solid issue in the Star Wars series.
Okay. And what would be your favorite book of the week? Now that we have concluded them all.
I don't know. It was a lot of. It was a handful of standouts and a bunch of meh.
Yeah, there was no in between. I'll agree with you on that. There were a lot of standouts and a lot of bad. There was no in between. About the only in between was that Daredevil.
Yeah, I'd say Daredevil was solid, but not, the best thing ever. Right. I don't know. I'm going to go with the Unbeatable Squirrel just because it made me laugh.
There's Uncanny X-Men, The Ultimates number 5, and Captain America. So
Captain America was solid too. It was really good.
I'm gonna go with Captain America because I didn't see, even though I knew his youth was going to be restored, I didn't see the Red Skull coming. I didn't see a lot of stuff in that book coming.
Yeah, it was not immediately obvious. It wasn't to me either until the dude saw his life flash before his eyes. I didn't realize what was about to happen. I was like, he's going to die. And I was like, well, he can't die because I know he's not dead. And I was like, oh, well, there's only one logical explanation.
Right. I just didn't see a lot of this coming in this issue, which really made it good. So, yeah, I'm going to go with Captain America number 7.
Cool. Yeah, those were two of the best books this week. That, Uncanny X-Men, Daredevil's all right. Star Wars stuff was solid. Those were your real standouts this week. Everything else was,
Ultimates #5 was great.
yeah, yeah. All of that, everything else other than that handful was either meh or just, in the case of that Drax book, just bad.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep. What's your classic read this week?
Oh, we've already been over it. It's all those books that tie into that Captain America book.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
But basically, the Captain America series from 2012, which the issue where he loses the super soldier serum is issue 21. That whole Iron Nail series begins in issue 16, but that whole 2012 series is worth reading.
Cool. Yeah, so if you want to know more about it, go back and read that. That's our classic read this week. Yep. If you want to get in touch with us and tell us what you think, you can email us at 6monthsbehind@gmail.com. Also, you can read all the stuff on the website at
www.6monthsbehind.com.
Cool. What's on the website this week?
I put a article explaining this whole friggin' affinity entity thing, because if you're interested in the cosmic universe, it really is. If you're like Thanos, and everybody's into Thanos because he's in the Avengers movie and Infinity Gauntlet. I mean, so there are people who are into the Marvel Universe side of things, and if you're into that, this is a book for you. So I put an article up there explaining what this is, and all the books that tie into it. Got the books that will be coming out next week, and I put a Captain America article up there explaining what happened in this issue, in this Captain America issue #7.
Cool. Sounds good. Go check out the website.
Yes.
That pretty much wraps us up for this week. That's all our books and everything. Pat, do you have any wisdom?
I try and keep the wisdom light. But there was a line from the Luke Cage series. I think it's in episode 1 or 2.
It's in episode 1 because I remember it.
In episode 1?
Yeah.
Everybody's got a gun. Nobody's got a father. I thought, that's good.
And I've only seen the first 5 episodes, but that show it does that a lot. Harps on things like that. And I guess it's kind of the undercurrent of Luke Cage as a character is, taking personal responsibility to improve the things around you.
I've read a lot of reviews. There's a lot of people talking about the moral responsibilities in that show. And
right. That seems to be the undercurrent.
Yeah, it's getting a lot of good reviews for it.
Cool. Well, until next time, we will see you all next week.
Peace.